Hello, welcome to Women in Weed. I am usually behind the camera. My name is Sam, and I'm so excited to be in front of the camera today because I am introducing my lovely cousin and someone who's been in the cannabis industry forever, Dylan Czyz.
Oh, hi.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me for 20 Consulting. I'm so happy to be here in this space.
Yeah.
Chatting with y'all about the wonders of weed.
Yes, and how are you doing today?
Oh, so good. Thank you. Yeah, the sun is shining. It's so beautiful out.
Beautiful.
Got a bit of a bug bite gardening earlier, but we're all good now.
Yes, the swelling has gone
The
down.
swelling has gone
We don't have to
down.
panic. We're
Yes.
good. Awesome. Oh, I love seeing you pull up here on your bike. You look so majestic. Your hair is blowing in the wind and you effortlessly get off. And I can never do that when people like swing their leg over and I'm like, I think it's magic. It's incredible.
Oh, wow. I'm glad it appears elegant because, yeah, I'm a little schwitzy. Feeling a little schwitzy. And
I did not catch any schwitz, don't worry.
Wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, well, I guess we should just jump into it. Dylan, when did you start in the cannabis industry?
I started in the industry around 5 years ago. I had just come home from spending some time traveling in South America. I was doing work with the worldwide on-site organic farming organization known as WOOF. And yeah, it was amazing. I came back into town and a good friend of mine was managing one of the dispensaries that just opened up around that time and offered me work there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. When I started out, I didn't even know the difference between indica or sativa. I was such a noob, and still I have so much learning and growing to do, but it's been a pretty incredible journey along the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so when you started at this dispensary, you said you didn't really know the difference between strains and stuff. How long did you find it took you to kind of get comfortable in that role?
Oh, the management at the dispensary were really encouraged education and gave us time on shift to dive into learning about the plant and the products. I also had some really knowledgeable coworkers who, just talked me through things, as well as a lot of the clients who walked in through the doors. There's, such a community here in BC Bud Country.
Yes.
And so much opportunity to be educated.
Totally. I find, learning from the patients is the best way, right?
Totally.
And then as soon as you can hear, oh, this strain helped me so much with this very specific niche thing, and then you can recommend it to someone else, and then your knowledge grows, and it's incredible.
It's incredible, yes.
I also wanted to say that we have some of Dilly's lovely products here that she's worked so hard on and has just done an incredible job with. Dilly, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have here?
You're making me blush. Oh my goodness. These are some microdose psilocybin products I've been formulating over the past 2 years. I started off making chocolate bars for myself and friends, and it just kind of bloomed and grew from there. So now we have chocolate bars and capsules, and working on a tea formulation.
How did you get started with mushrooms, Dilly?
When I first took mushrooms, I was a teenager out at like a beach fire with some friends, and I had no idea what to expect, and I feel like it was a very big turning point for me in a lot of areas. I felt like kind of a layer was like peeled off of everything, and I was like just looking around at the grass, like dancing, and the fire and the ocean, and everything seemed so alive. And I felt such a deep sense of peace and connection, and that really sparked a lifelong love for mushrooms of all kinds, from the button mushrooms you get at the grocery store to magical reishi growing in the deep woods. They're such incredible organisms.
I mean, I'm still just getting into mushrooms. Like, it's a very new world for me. I think I've had maybe 2 or 3 like proper psychedelic experiences from them in the past couple years, and even then it was like very much on the mild side. But I have to say afterwards, and I don't know if this is cliche or what, but I did really feel like someone hit refresh or like restart on my whole mindset and just like general feeling. You know, I just remember feeling hopeful again. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you get so easily clouded by you know, thoughts saying you're not good enough, or you're stressed out about work, or you're anxious about, you know, whatever. And I found they just were able, like you said, strip that all away and look at life through a whole new lens and appreciate the things that are alive and growing, instead of worrying about things that may not even be true, or you know whatever.
Yeah.
And then my boss recently was kind enough to Justin was kind enough to get me some microdosing tablets or capsules before you were kind enough to bring these. And I, again, definitely not like a trippy, like I'm seeing trails or anything like that, but I definitely noticed just kind of like an elevated sense. Like I felt like my brain was just kind of that much more elevated, and I was able to be above these negative thoughts, you know, and I was able to focus on work better. And yeah, so it's
that's amazing to hear, and that's such a beautiful description of microdosing and macrodosing and the effects that it can have. And I'm so glad to hear that it's been so positive for you. That's amazing.
So you got started at Pacific Rim. I remember you were taking all sorts of different courses there. I think acupuncture was involved at some point. Were mushrooms involved in that, or
no? They do have some great courses about medicinal mushrooms and identifying them. I never took any of those specifically, but I was able to take some awesome phytotherapy courses, which is another term for herbalism, herbal medicine. And just learning about the different constituents in the plants and how they interact with us. And so many of those constituents are, of course, found in cannabis as well. It's so amazing learning about how this whole other kingdom of life interacts with us. It's pretty incredible. I really started leaning towards alternative medicine just due to a whole bunch of symptoms and I guess illness I was dealing with. Some really profound digestive issues. A lot of food I was eating was making me feel very sick, which caused me to lose a lot of weight and have a lot of inflammatory side effects, like really persistent cystic acne, eczema, psoriasis, hair loss, just a whole range of things that Western medicine found the treatment options for me within the Western medicine framework were so limited. I remember walking into an herbal dispensary and just asking for help for my skin, and they gave me a milk thistle dandelion root tincture and tea blend and sent me on my way, and they tasted awful, and so I didn't take them.
You're like, what the heck?
But now knowing, I'm like, they gave me the right medicine. I just wasn't in the right space to take that. And just led me on a huge journey of understanding my body deeper and what my body was craving. And I think that really was a connection to nature ultimately. Like, natural foods, not surviving off kimchi bowl noodles every day, which was what I was doing at that time, and then being like, why am I sick?
We have all been there, and I think some of us are always there. Yes.
No shade on kimchi bowl noodles, by the way, they are amazing, but probably shouldn't be eaten every day.
I wish we could though. They're so cheap and tasty.
So much sodium.
Yes, I know. I feel like a dried up sponge after I eat one. Hey, yeah.
So good.
So good. Okay, well, speaking of tasty things, we wanted to try something different today. We've got, what do we have here? We have House of Terpenes. Shout out House of Terpenes. We haven't tried this before, and I'm very excited. I'm actually about to take my first sip. It may not look like it, but I wanted to share with Mac. She's behind the camera today. Thank you, Mac. Yes, so here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Dilly's got very exciting water today.
Yeah, I'm on the water. I'm a bit of a baby with the edibles. Want to make sure I can bike home safely.
Okay. So it's like the best thing I can compare it to is like, it's kind of like a La Croix, very fizzy, kind of sparkling water, and the limonene is very much understated. It's kind of just, it's a hint. it's there.
Nice.
Makes you feel nice, and I can definitely taste the THC as well. Like I can definitely taste the cannabis, but it's not unpleasant, which is nice.
That is
I've
nice.
had edibles before where it's like you have to kind of plug your nose to get through it because it's so disgusting, So that's really lovely. So House of Terpenes, thank you so much for making such a lovely drink. We'll have to tag you in this and hopefully you can see our review.
Yeah. Do you know if they use terpenes like derived from cannabis or where?
I'm not sure.
I'm always so curious about that.
House of Terpenes, if you're listening, please let us know. We'd love to know your process.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say on here. Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful packaging too.
Gorgeous. Yeah, and they had a lovely display one in the cabinet as well, and it had like lots of lovely flowers on it and things. And I thought that's what I was getting, and then they were like, "Oh, here's the white label." Of course, you can't have the pretty one, but oh well.
I'm looking forward for that to change.
Yeah.
There's so many insane regulations in the cannabis space, and it's wild watching these companies try to jump through the hoops.
I know.
Where at the liquor store you can buy like pop in pop cans that are like clearly
Totally. We see it a lot with our clients. We're guiding them through the process of licensing and getting them all labeled up and everything. And yeah, it's sad. A lot of these companies are so creatively expressive, and they must feel so stunted by having these white labels where they can only have their logo in a corner and everything else is in a box and not very exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Same.
Because like half the time I go to the liquor store, which is not very often, but when I do, it's I'm looking for a label that excites me and that I think is beautiful, and I'm not really paying attention to like, oh yes, this is a chateau, whatever. It's like, oh, it's a label beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna try. Maybe that makes me superficial.
No, I'm the same way. Always judge the books by the cover.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it says it has something to say for sure. Someone's taken the time and effort to make this beautiful label. So I can't wait till we're allowed to have the same thing with cannabis. I know it's interesting right now because they don't want to appeal to children, which is totally understandable.
Of course.
But at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of labels out there for liquor that could easily appeal to children as well, like very colorful and crazy colors, and so
Definitely.
yeah. And you must see a lot of the white labeling at your job as well, hey?
Yeah.
For those of us who don't know, Dilly works for a lovely company called Shelter Cannabis.
Yes, Shelter Market.
Shelter Market.
They are awesome. I have had the opportunity to work with them for the past few years, and I have nothing but positive things to say. Again, so much opportunity for me to learn and grow from all of these amazing people who have basically pioneered this industry that we're all working in. I've been doing client care for them, and so it's been very interesting to connect with cannabis patients across the country. My work has been focusing a lot on partnering with craft producers and micro cultivators, which I know ties into what you folks do here at 420 Consulting.
Yes. Yeah.
And just learning these growers' stories, and then seeing how interested the patients are in knowing their process and knowing exactly how the buds were cured and dried and trimmed and what terpenes are in it and what temperature this terpene can be vaporized at. Like, these people have such a wealth and extensive knowledge about their medicine, and it's like truly inspiring. I'm so glad to be in this industry.
I guess you've been working from home now, hey?
I have, for the past year, since last March. It was a pretty easy transition because most of our work was done online already.
Right.
I definitely missed my coworkers in the office space, though. There's like so much in that sort of water cooler banter that is so invaluable, I think.
Totally.
But we have, it's been cool to see how the company's adapted and shifted its policies, and will continue to over the coming years. Time is flying.
And how exciting is it that we're like in the infancy of all of this,
Right.
Like, we are roots in the ground. Like, we knew what it was like just pre-legalization, and now we get to see what is happening as legalization grows and shifts into something that's workable for everybody, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much work that still needs to be done. And so I try to, be grateful for where we are while still, being mindful of all the things that need to come into place for, like you said, this to be workable for everyone. Like, for instance, all of the individuals who are still incarcerated for cannabis related crimes and possession, as well as, people can't leave the country because of past records. It's like, I think that we really need to see a huge shift towards helping advocate for these people. I'm seeking organizations and companies and stuff that I could maybe volunteer with, or so if you guys know anyone, or if you guys watchers know of anyone, please comment and let us know, because that's so important. And I feel such a sense of guilt to be sitting here, like a white woman in this industry and freely able to talk about something where, in other parts of the world and even here, you could be incarcerated. And it feels so hypocritical that something that is now being marketed as like a wellness product, like, oh, like take your CBD and do this and that, is like, for years we were being told would like cause psychosis and horrible health problems. And it's got some explaining to do there, government.
Some explaining to do for sure, yes. Well, I do see things are slowly getting better. Obviously, a lot more work to do, but again, super exciting to be in the industry where it's at in its infancy, and we get to be some of the change makers, which is like the best part of it all. So no more old and gray can be like, I remember when cannabis was illegal.
The kids will be like, oh, there goes Gran again.
Totally. Oh dear. And speaking of cannabis, Dilly, I know that you grow, and I know that you are quite an excellent grower.
Oh my goodness. Learning and growing.
Yes, learning and growing. That is the motto for this entire episode. So do you have any tips for us? Any growing expertise?
Yeah, I definitely would not call myself an expert. I've had so much fun though growing plants at home over the past few years, and some tips I guess would be something I've noticed that makes a real difference is using filtered water or water that you've just let sit out like overnight, just to let all of the stuff we use to clean our water dissolve out of it. It makes a big difference. Especially if you're using like organic fertilizers and food for your plants, because sometimes the like chlorine and whatnot in the water can like slightly mix with those fertilizers, or so I've been told. And another thing that has recently come up for me is having proper air circulation if you're doing indoor growing. Recently had a bit of a mite problem, which brought me to my knees. But it's learning and growing. Just putting the plants outside makes a big difference for the mites, and helps the UV from the sun and the wind helps to bring them back under control, but it's mildly heartbreaking.
Oh, I can only imagine. Oh my god. Also just creepy crawlies in general.
I felt like I felt them on me. Yeah. They weren't on me. Or maybe they probably were.
Oh, maybe that's where your bug bite came from. I mean, it was just a mosquito or something. Don't worry. Also, Dilly, we have a segment on this show that we love, and we're still looking for great stories. So if you have one, please comment below. But please tell us about a time you got way too high.
Boy, where do I start? I think this is kind of where my fear of edibles stems from, to be honest. No. I had this amazing bottle of infused olive oil, and it was so good. So I made a nice batch of hummus, and I didn't think it would be too potent. Yeah. I don't know why I thought that. And so smeared some hummus on my toast and started walking to work in the morning. And by the time I got to my workplace, I was like, I could hardly open my eyes. They were so small. I was like pasty and sweaty and so paranoid, and my boss was there, and it was a busy restaurant downtown. breakfast restaurant, so the brunch rush was happening, and my duty was to make everyone's beverages. It was a disaster. I was forgetting orders. I was so slow. I was like,
oh no.
Yeah, told my boss I had a headache. Sorry, Joe.
I mean, you weren't lying. There was something going on in your head.
There was something going on.
Oh my gosh.
Since that day, me and edibles.
I feel you. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Thank you. Yeah, it was humbling. This is powerful medicine we're working with, for sure.
Absolutely. Learning and growing.
Truly.
Lastly, I guess, unless we can think about anything else to squeeze into this episode, where can we find you? Where's your presence in this online universe? Where can we find you? Tell us about your projects.
Yeah, you could, if you're interested in finding out more about my microdose products. I'm on Instagram right now as myco.body, myco.body. And yeah, a website is in the works. I am trying to be a little low-key with this project, which is a little bit hypocritical of me to be saying right now. No. But just given how it's given the nature of it.
Totally.
But yeah, find me on the gram.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And all for informational purposes only.
Of course, yeah.
There's no soliciting happening here.
Never, no. And exactly, I've been trying to share content that's just really educational, with like tips about starting microdosing, or just little fun facts about the mushroom kingdom, because they are, so cool. Another thing I would suggest, just for fun, is everyone should go watch the movie Fantastic Fungi. It was directed by Louis Schwartzberg.
Okay.
And it features heavily the work of mycologist Paul Stamets.
Oh, I've heard he's a big hitter in the whole mushroom kingdom.
He is a legend. He's so inspiring. I love listening to him talk. I haven't had a chance to see him live yet, but that is goals.
Yes.
And yeah, that film was so beautiful and gave me so much hope. There's so much innovative technology going on right now in regards to mushrooms, both psychedelic and non-psychedelic, and just how they're really healing the earth and us. It's pretty incredible. Like, there's this process called mycoremediation, which is outlined in the film, basically where mushrooms are introduced to an area of land that has been contaminated by chemicals, polycarbons, etc., and the mushrooms will like absorb and break down these compounds and somehow like neutralize them.
Crazy.
Like, there was this case of an oil spill, I believe it was in the Gulf of Mexico, and mushrooms, I think they were shiitake mushrooms, were thrown in, and they just totally like absorbed and digested the oil. And
crazy.
Yeah, I'm like
I'm just imagining like them dumping a bunch of mushrooms into the ocean.
It's the best image. I hope that's how it was done.
Let's just take care of all of our problems this way now.
Just throw some mushrooms on it.
Incredible though. Yes, please go. What is the film called again?
Fantastic Fungi.
Okay.
And Louis Schwartzberg has also started an amazing podcast called Wonder and Awe, where he will chat with various people around the world, and it's been great. I've been putting it on while I've been working from home, listening in the background, and it's very soul-soothing and beautiful.
Love that. I want to check that out now. Cool. Well, amazing. Thank you, Dilly, for being here. This has been Sam and Dylan. This is Women in Weed, and we can't wait to see you again next time. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.